Ding dong, the witch is dead. Hello, everybody. I'm Ted Davies, and this is Ted Davies Artistry. And today we're going to be talking something a little bit different. We're going to be celebrating the life and times of my mom, Rita Davies. And this time of year is it's getting colder now. We're in the fall and winter months in Michigan, and it's the leaves are falling, and it's getting colder, and the wind's blowing. But this time of year reminds me a lot of my mom. See, my mom passed away in October, about 30 years ago. Actually, it's 30 years ago this Wednesday, October 19th, 1992. 3 decades. Long time. Long time. But we're going to talk a little bit about how you can take that grief that you possibly have unceremoniously earned and turning into some type of growth for you in business or in life. You don't have to get over it, as they say. There's ways that you can manage it, and you can actually grow from it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so first off, I'm not going to go through any sponsorships or anything like that today, but I want to thank everybody for stopping in. If you have if you've had a loved one pass and it's something that you don't really ever get over it, especially with my mother. I was a mama's boy, as I'm sure all you guys know. And I wear that badge proudly. My mom was really hilarious. She was very, very funny. And she had this this curse of empathy, is what I call it. And she taught all of us, all my siblings and that, and other people, if they listen, about empathy and compassion. The woman, it was to a fault. When I was graduating or going to college and everything else and working in the corporate structure and that, I used to hate it because she would always tell me, well, what about the other person? Why do you have to be all about you, all about that, and think about the other person first? And I used to hate that she would do that to me, because it would put a guilt trip on me. And in corporate America, back in the day, it just wasn't, it was all about number one. Yeah, you wanted to help people out, I guess, but it wasn't the structure that corporate America was built on. I've learned since, though, that empathy is really the way of the way the world should be. And I thank her for that, because I look at life. I raised my kids in that environment, that empathetic, compassionate mindset. To help others, to do something good for other people. This YouTube channel is about that. Everything I do with Ted Davies Artistry, trying to raise the bar, raise the inspiration for everybody. And that was my mom. You wonder why I have "Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead" as a song or a title on here. And my mom, I'm going to backtrack to that in a minute, but my mom was the youngest of 15 kids. Back in 1932, she was born down in rural Indiana, in a small town down by the Wabash River, if you guys know where that's at, in Lagodi, Indiana, in the middle of the Depression. And it was rough. It was rough. Farm family. Her father died when she was 9. So my grandfather passed away when she was 9. So it was quite devastating financially for them. And I know how hard she worked. She had to go to school in Chicago, and she worked with my grandmother cleaning the school and that. And while she went to school, it wasn't a very easy life for my mom early on. And she never wanted anybody to feel that, despair or hopelessness. She always had faith. She was raised Catholic. She was a devout Catholic throughout her life. And she really was a very empathetic person. Like I said, to a fault. I remember times where she would if somebody didn't have a coat, she was there. If she didn't have, she would get them a coat. If she didn't have, if a person didn't have food, boom, we were at their house dropping food off for them. Whether it was her family, whether she knew them or not, part of the church, whatever, that was the way my mom was. I remember as a teenager, I would actually drive my parents to the local retirement center in Detroit on Sundays after church, and they would take communion to a lot of these shut-in parishioners that didn't have anybody. And I was too cool for that. I was listening to Casey Kasem on the radio and my dad's LTD while they were going in and giving communion to all these people. Again, compassion and empathy. With all of it, when my mom died, I was home, and I've done other podcasts on this, and you can go back and you can look through my catalog on that. I actually done an audio podcast on this about good grief and all that entails. I'm not going to go through it too far in this, but what I wanted to talk about today is the 30th anniversary of my mom's passing, and not necessarily that day. Again, it was a terrible day, but I'm gonna explain while I'm going through this why I think it's so important about how grief works and how the mourning process works, especially as a creative. The night my mother passed away, we had a really great dinner, Oktoberfest dinner. I think it was at a Catholic church. And my brother was there, and we had a great time. It was good food and everything else. And we went afterward. We went home. I was still living at home. I was a young man. I was 21, still going to school. And Mom didn't feel good. And later that night, I went downstairs to watch TV or whatever. And later that night, my dad came downstairs and he said, "I think your mom died." So I ran upstairs, gave her CPR, I did all that, which is, I think, those pivotal points when you go through some trauma like that, it sets a tone for life that some people don't ever recover from. And I can only put it as far as maybe a PTSD. I don't want to. I don't want to state that because I was never diagnosed that way. And I can't imagine what people that suffer with PTSD go through. But I know my anxiety in my life, even up till today, is probably amplified by that occurrence. But it's not something that can control me anymore. And the reason why I say that is because there's a lot of people that that's how they identify who they are. I don't do that anymore. I did for a long time, and I think that it wasn't a healthy thing at all. Having said that, I think that us as creatives, we're very sensitive people, and we're very sometimes we don't recover from that type of trauma, whatever it is. Grieving, though, grieving a loss of a parent like that in any circumstance, whether you're there or whether you're you get the phone call and you have to go, you're not prepared for it. But I think that time doesn't always heal all wounds, but it does help you move along. I don't think that you need to get over it, like I said earlier. I think that I think that's really a misnomer. I think that you can manage it. I think that it evolves. It actually can build strength in you. In a lot of cases, I think that humility and just the humanity of it all. Our mortality is something that we live with and die with, for that matter. But with my art and with my writing and with my just the way that I create, I've used this energy, this grief, this mourning process, not just with my mother, but also with my father passing about 10 years ago. And I've used it in a positive light, which I never thought I was going to be able to do. I think that I found a time and a spot that it made sense that I could transfer this energy into something creative, into something that can help other people, into something that can get other people through what maybe they're going through, whether it be high anxiety for whatever reason, past traumas, grieving, what have you. So, and that's pretty much the message of what I'm trying to get along today. So how does Ding Dong the Witch is Dead play in all this? Well, my mom was, like I said, her sense of humor was just, she was really quite funny. Being the youngest of 15 kids, there was always somebody passing away in her family. There was a huge age difference between her her older siblings and herself. So there was always an aunt or uncle as I was growing up that was, passed away or whatever. So we're always at a cemetery or at a funeral home or whatever. And I think that made my mom kind of want to get things planned just in case. I know she always prayed that she would see me grow up. I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and there's a big age difference between my older siblings and myself. And out of all of it, ironically, and a lot of the people that are watching this, my mother's family and my cousins and that, I'm the 43rd grandchild, so I'm last of the Mohicans. So that's what we came up with. We think it was 43 kids, but we're not sure grandkids. But in that, and we found humor in that as well. But my mom was always, she always had a funny story. She was kind of a catalyst to the whole family. And we would have like Christmas breakfast. Everybody would come over. Family members, work, dad's work people, all different denominations. It didn't matter. Christmas morning was at our home in Detroit. Everybody from priests, nuns, you name it, they were all at the house. And mainly it was because of the way my mom was. My mom was just this empathetic soul. She just resonated with everybody. And even some of the guys I went to high school with, one of them I know considered my mom a second mother. It's just you get to a point where you don't meet too many people like that. And I was fortunate enough to have her 21 years of my life. So Ding Dong the Witch is Dead. One of the things that she wanted was at her funeral, she wanted Ding Dong the Witch is Dead played because that's the type of person she was. She was hysterical in a good way, not in a bad way. Of course, we didn't do that at the church or at the funeral home or anything. But once we got home and we had the wake and everything, and everybody was kind of, I think it was more so just my siblings and everything, and my dad and everything. After the dust kind of settled down that day, and I think it was later in that evening, we all honored that with Ding Dong the Witch is Dead. In no disrespect to her, it was very much an enlightening thing, trying to find some laughter through the tears. And I'm sure that anybody who has lost somebody close to them can, whether it's a parent or sibling or what have you, you can understand. You try to find something to get you through that grief, that mourning process. I think that grief takes a lot of different perspectives throughout life. There might be a song that comes on, or a movie that you're reminded of that you used to watch with the person. Like my mom, we watched a lot of movies, a lot of really good movies growing up, and I often see those, or I've watched them with my kids. That's kind of that has always been kind of rough for me with the kids because they never got a chance to meet my mom. My wife now, Christine, never got a chance to meet my mom. They all know her because I talk about her all the time, and my siblings talk about her. But it's, that's the rub of it all, right? How do we keep them alive in memory? We do it a couple different ways. We do it through telling stories and that, but we also do it as creatives throughout our art, and the way we teach our kids, or the way that we treat people in our lives. This whole channel is based around inspiration, whether it's, back to the drawing board or what have you. I want to show you guys that the humanity side of creativity is a beautiful thing. And I think that no better person to teach you that would have been my mom. She would have, she would have really loved this technology. I wish that she would have been a great YouTuber. She would have been an awesome YouTuber. And I think that she'd have 1,000,000 views, no problem. She would be, I can imagine her telling stories and, the funny stories that she used to have. I mean, some of them were just hilarious. But in that, I'm thankful. And that's a big part of grieving. If you can get to the point where you're not the victim anymore and you become thankful and you're grateful. I'm grateful that she didn't have to suffer. My mom had like I said, a massive heart attack. She didn't have to go through cancer or chemotherapy or any type of dementia or anything like that. I'm thankful for that. I try to look for those little shining examples that there is something bigger at play. And I'm thankful that she didn't have to go through that. I think that, 30 years, 33 decades, looking back on it and where I was when I was 21 and where I'm at now, and what I've accomplished and how many people were involved in that, how many people got me through a lot of the stuff that, it was tough. I mean, I would say probably really the first 10 years, I was really blaming myself for a lot, and it's, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done it to myself. And it's hard though, when you're in that situation, you feel very responsible that you couldn't bring them back. You couldn't do anything to make it, to make them be here again, and there's a lot of guilt in that. And it can be extremely, extremely dangerous to a lot of people. And you feel helpless, and there's, I'm here to tell you though that you can get through that. You can get past that. You don't have to get over it. And I'm stressing that. Us as creatives, like I said, we're very sensitive people, and a lot of that, we use that as a crutch sometimes, and we grasp onto these things that happen in our lives, and we never let go of them. And sometimes that's not healthy. I think that if you look at being grateful, if you look at, and sometimes this is with 30 years of that loss. I've now lived longer than my mom, without my mom, than when I was with my mom. And that has, when you reach that point and you start healing from that time frame, it's a different, you look at life a little bit differently too. I don't consider, both my parents have moved on. They both passed away. I don't consider myself an orphan at all. I've got parents. They're just on the next journey. But my mom was, truly the inspiration that got me through a lot. I'll tell you, before I went to architecture school, I had a decision to make whether I really wanted to be an artist. I wanted to do what I was doing right now. I wanted to write. I wanted to make comics. I wanted to have my, art hang in art galleries. But the technology wasn't there, right? This is fantastic. What we're doing right now is an absolute blessing. If this would have been around, really around, not just starting out, it would have revolutionized a lot of the things that I did growing up. But my mom said to me this one line. She says, because I was having a hard time figuring out if I was going to be a car designer or a architect, architectural designer, a builder. What was I going to be? And she says, wouldn't it be great if people could live in your artwork versus just hang it on the wall? And that was it. That set my career path. And in high school, it all started from that point, when she said that line. And I think it was great because I learned so much in the field of architecture, and I did so much. I accomplished so much in my career. But it's very melancholy with a lot of it too, because you wish that you could have had your mom see, your first couple homes being built, or the awards that you won, or that. So what I do is I honor her this way by trying to promote you guys as much as I can, and to get you guys to the point where you're inspired and know that you're not alone, and know that you've got future ahead of you, and what you're doing is awesome, and you're making the world better. Because that's what she would have done. She would have done that. She would have said, hey, this is what you got. This is what you got to prove. This is what you need to do so the world is better for it. We're here to serve, as my dad would always say. But my mom's like, just go get them. Don't worry about anybody else. Don't worry about the naysayers. And that was what it's all about. So hopefully you guys get an idea and you celebrate. Maybe tip your glass or tip your mug to my mom, Rita Davies, on October 19th, this Wednesday. So it'll be tomorrow. I'm taping this late Monday night. But I wanted to make sure that you guys, if you have had a loss, like a mother or sibling or any parent, grandparent, you have grieve, mourn. Don't hold it in. There's no reason for that. Even if it's 30 years ago or longer, you can use this energy to do some amazing things, to help somebody, to paint a picture, to write some poetry, journal, write one of your best memories about them. Get on YouTube, record it, tell people about it, let their memory live on. I think that's so important. So if you've got a mom and she's around and you can go to her house or wherever she's at, give her a big hug, and you make sure that you ask her to tell you the stories, ask her to bring back the memories and be part of her life, and make sure that you give the extra hug just from me. So thank you guys for listening to this, and thank you for letting me share some of my humble experience and anxiety with you. This coming up Halloween weekend, the 28th through the 30th, I'm going to be down in Dalton, Georgia at the HalloCon 2022. It's a 20th anniversary. I'm actually going to be a guest of honor there. So thank you, Jody McPhee, for asking me to come down. Christine and I will be there with Calypso Intel. We're looking forward to coming down. I've got especially a group of special prints that I'm having made for the show, as well as other things I'm going to have down there, books, artwork, and we're going to be there. We're going to be there Friday until Sunday night. So check it out. That's going to be Halloween weekend, and we are looking forward so much to being down there. I am going to be live this Thursday with Glenn B. Fleming on Comics Unlimited, as we talked about, as we talk about Comics Unlimited. We're also going to be talking about advertisements, the old advertisements of the comic industry. We're going to crack open a few old comic books and look through some of the old advertisements, and hopefully you guys will be there and you can tell us about your old advertisement comics too. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to doing that. But we'll be returning to Back to the Drawing Board on November 8th. I've got a couple weeks here. I've got a few other things to finish up, and lots happening right now. So we'll definitely be back on November 8th here for Back to the Drawing Board. We have some things coming up with John Celestri from Feed the Beast, and also Craig Hall, the producer in California, writing the adaptation for my book Retrieve. With From the Trenches of Hollywood. We got a lot going on right now. So keep looking for it. Check out the podcast, Ted Davies Artistry. It should be on Spotify, Anchor, Apple, if I'm not mistaken, Podbean, all these crazy places you can get podcasts. If you go to Spotify, you can actually see the video. So check it all out. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by Christmas. We're getting there. We've gained a little bit of momentum, and I appreciate everybody helping us out. If you guys could tell 3 of your friends, that would be super, super helpful. Check out this link, teddaviesartistry.com, or go to the QR code up here. You can scan that. It'll take you right to my art page where you can purchase my artwork, my books, some prints too. And I would love for you to be part of Ted's tribe. Check out the newsletter as well. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for letting me talk to you about Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, and my mom, Rita Davies, the amazing lady. Thank you guys. No envy, no fear. Do something great for somebody. We'll talk to you soon.